feeling that intensified when she saw that Kristina French's body had been found. Back on Facebook, she was now messaging friends, admitting that she felt Logan was involved. It was the overnight shift, and she chillingly recounted one night when Logan came down the hall holding a large hunting knife, point up. When confronted, he claimed to have heard a noise. When his dad was confronted, he let Debbie know that 10-year-old Logan had a box of his own personal knives underneath his bed. The remainder of her nights there were spent behind her locked bedroom door. Saturday, December 9th, 2017. As Christmas approaches, Logan's mom Carrie's frustrations bubble over.
Carrie Mott calls the situation, quote, horrific. In this detailed letter, front and back, she says her son Logan, who is charged with murder, has expressed concerns over being freezing in jail and not receiving proper medical attention. On behalf of her son facing murder charges, in 1,030 words, she says, quote, he says he is freezing, which is a clear sign his insulin is not being controlled properly. Mott's mother says his diabetes puts him at risk, affecting his heart and brain if not taken care of. She goes on to say, this is a serious medical issue, and I will have no choice but to run it up the chain if I hear nothing back. There is medical staff on hand at all times in the jail, but the insulin aspect could come up again.
Defense attorney may run with that, saying that he wasn't in his right frame of mind because he didn't have insulin, and maybe he was insulin deprived at the time he committed the crime. Could she file a lawsuit in his behalf? Sure she could. The sheriff accepts a huge burden because as far as lawsuits go, that's probably the majority of the lawsuits that fall against the sheriff and the sheriff's officer are at the jail.
Elaborating on her letter, Mott's mother tells First Coast News, quote, Logan should be in a smaller juvenile facility where his medical needs can be monitored closely, and he will have opportunity to interact. Mott is being charged as an adult, so he's at the regular Duval County Jail. JSO says he's being held in isolation for his own safety.
Duval County Jail, it's not meant to be the Holiday Inn or the Marriott. It's still jail. No one wants to be there. I get it. But there's a reason why you're there.
Public defender of the Fourth Circuit, Charlie Kofer, is representing Logan Mott right now, and he says he's already discussed this with Logan's mother. He sent us a statement saying in part, quote, as a result of those conversations, I've had numerous discussions with the director of the jails about monitoring and handling Logan's condition. I have also been meeting regularly with Logan, most recently yesterday evening. And as we know, Logan's father, who works in corrections at JSO, will be reassigned to avoid a conflict of interest.
For now, Mott is charged with second-degree murder, but our crime analyst says that could be upgraded to first-degree murder if evidence shows premeditation or planning.
It was a night of reflection in Jacksonville Beach as friends and family gathered in a labyrinth circle to honor Kristina French.
Just a nice person.
Whether you knew her for only a matter of months or years, friends say one thing was consistent about Kristina French.
She was just always very, very kind and compassionate.
She was very kind. And I remember thinking that it's very easy to know this person because she seems to be so caring for other people.
Friends that wanted to pay respect here in Jacksonville Beach to Kristina French showed up at this labyrinth circle, one that Kristina would come to over the last few years or so for spiritual walks, carrying these candles to signify the light that she brought into this world. And for what I'm told by her friends, that light shined very bright.
Questions were always geared toward how could she be a more compassionate, loving person in her life and in her work.
Friends revisited the very labyrinth circle French used to walk herself in spiritual walks and contributed to a book club for close to 2 years here.
We just feel that it's really important to be here and support those that were close to her and her family members and as a part of our community here.
A community Mary Hall says Kristina French was always striving to improve around.
You can do your own search here for the things that mean things to you inside, and that's what I saw in her. I'm just glad I had the chance to know her for a little while.
Friends and family reflected on their own chance they had with Kristina inside this circle, ironically named the Heart, to remember Kristina's.
Friday, August 3rd, 2018 brings shocking new developments in Logan's case. It's not looking great.
Bombshell new evidence. These are just some of the hundreds of pages of documents and the photos in this evidence in this case. We've seen photo after photo showing guns, knives, clothing, all marked as evidence that police gathered from the home in Neptune Beach and from the car that Logan Mott was driving when he was arrested just outside the border in New York. And again, many of those photos we just can't show you on television because they show a very disturbing crime scene and that shallow grave. The autopsy report is also included. It states how Kristina French died. It says a gunshot wound to the head, but there's more. In the report, it shows that she was stabbed in the head, shoulders, and arms. She was killed in the master bedroom, but her body was found outside in a shallow grave. We're learning more about what may have led up to this. During their investigation, police talked to a number of friends of both Logan Mott and his grandmother, Kristina French. One of her friends told police French was crying and appeared very upset days before she was killed. She told the friend that she'd found 15-year-old Logan in the bathtub at home, and he was very intoxicated. She says Logan was drinking vodka, which he admitted to. In the report, we learned from detectives that Logan Mott had told several friends he had just done something really bad. He told the friend that he had to leave and was going to drive to the border and cross into Canada. The report also says Mott called another girl and said, "I did something bad and I shot someone." That friend asked him who he shot. The report says he said it was a woman and would not give details. The report also says Logan told her what type of gun was used and said he shot her execution style and said there was blood everywhere.
Now we're learning more about his mental state. News4Jax reporter Jim Piggott joining us from the newsroom. Jim, you have been following this investigation from the start.
And the evidence, Joy, that we're finding in all of this, it contains many clues as to what happened, including these letters that we found today to Mott's dad, who's a corrections officer with JSO, and also to Mott's friends. The first letter begins with an ominous tone. "Hello, Dad. If you're getting this, then something terribly wrong has happened to me." It goes on to say, "I know I've been a burden in your life. I have caused many of your dreams to fail, but you pass those dreams to me. But if you get this, I'm very sorry to tell you I can't." The letter continues about how he loves his father, but then it goes on to talk to friends whose names have been redacted. It says, "Stay who you are because you're good just the way you are. Pain is temporary, my friend. Keep going no matter how hard it is. You may have the most important request. Continue my dream." There was another letter that was hard to read, and it rambled on. It says that he was a coward and screwed up badly and pushed his father's buttons. It says, "I didn't consider myself a good person." Among other items released today are reports and interviews police did with Mott's friend and a school guidance counselor. One friend told them that Mott had a girlfriend and broke up after she accused him of rape. The school guidance counselor told detectives something very similar. She said Mott told her that his ex-girlfriend once accused him of striking her and sexually assaulting her. Now, Mott has pleaded not guilty to second-degree murder. I reached out to his attorney today, Public Defender Charlie Kofer, for comment. Now, he did call me back late this afternoon or texted back, and he basically said he really can't talk about this, but we're going to learn more in court. And by the way, Mott is due back in court at the end of the month.
That said, Attorney Dominic Saraceno insists that Logan Mott is innocent.
I've been a criminal defense lawyer almost 20 years, and I have not encountered a situation where a 15-year-old boy with no criminal history just decided to kill his grandmother.
Attorney Dominic Saraceno says his client, 15-year-old Logan Mott, is no deviation from that history.
Although I cannot get into details about my communications with my client, I can tell you that he adamantly denies any involvement in his grandmother's death. I'm hoping that after an investigation is completed, they'll decide not to charge Logan.
As the one-year anniversary of Kristina French's murder approaches, Logan Mott was in court for a pretrial hearing on Monday, November 18, 2018. His second-degree murder trial was scheduled to begin after the first of the year. Both Eric and Carrie Campbell Mott were in attendance, but neither gave a statement. Now, let's remember Kristina French. She touched so many in her community.
So far, very little said about Kristina French, Logan Mott's grandmother. So who was she?
French was a director at the nonprofit May Institute for people with autism and disabilities in Jacksonville.
Any way you look at it, it's tragic.
Tragic because French talked about moving to Jacksonville from Michigan for her family.
She was here, she said, because of her son and her grandson and a desire to be close to them.
And her love for Logan, her grandson, now charged as an adult in her murder.
People that knew Kristina knew that she adored him. She did, and that was the word that they would use. So,
adored.
Yes. I think the best thing that we all can do is just try to back away and see the bigger picture and reflect on her life.
French was trying to get extra therapeutic help for people in Jacksonville with autism.
I don't think our minds will rest, but in our hearts, we can just take away, her memory.
The memory of Kristina French, a champion in Jacksonville for people with autism.
Stay tuned for promos from a few of my friends. Join me next for episode 22, Party Animals on Murderous Minors, Killer Kids. But until then, lovelies, don't be scared.
Hey, Slackers, I'm Matt.
And I'm Jesse.
We host American Slacker, the show that keeps you updated on all of the weirdest news around the globe, along with what's going on in the world of Xbox, music and movie suggestions, and fun interactive games.
Every other week, we bring on interesting guests from all walks of life, from filmmakers to musicians, funeral directors to small business owners, and even Jeff Goldblum.
What? No, we never got Goldblum, man.
Oh, man can dream, can't he?
American Slacker Podcast. New episodes every Wednesday.
Available on Spotify, iTunes, and all of your smart devices. Or anywhere else, you might happen to cop a podcast.
They're downloading MP3s, not buying an eighth. I'm shutting this shit down. That's it.
There you go.
Miscast Commentary, a real-time movie commentary podcast featuring two best friends since they were children, Joe Findlay and Todd Murray.
Is that when the buddy's chasing him and he walks up to the thing? Remember the old one where the lizard's chasing Kurt?
No, I want everybody to say that, like, we do have a deep connection, the two of us, but then this is the kind of bull he asks me. Is this that one where the thing gets chased by the thing and goes up the other thing with the guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that one.
The answer is yes, that's the one.
I knew you knew.
Catch new episodes every Friday wherever you get your podcasts.
If you could punch any horror icon in the mouth and get away with it, which one would you punch?
Tell you which one I wouldn't.
Pinhead.
Visit miscastcommentary.com.
They don't make them like this anymore, baby.